What are some of the dumbest rules you had in school? Oh man, this is my thread. My elementary school was a breeding ground for this shit. We were not allowed to run in gym. You know that room specifically built so that kids can run around and exercise and shit? Yeah, we couldn't do that. It was too dangerous. I remember as a kid I was running and I legitimately got into trouble with my teacher. Fuck that guy. As we weren't running around the room, we were not allowed to pass anyone because, and I can't make this shit up, it might make them feel bad. Quality life lessons right there. When someone is better at something than you, cry. There was this one girl that had medical issues and could not move fast at all. Our class would be stuck behind her for the entire duration of our not running. Felt bad for her. We spent literally months on a dance unit. Our teacher, in his infinite wisdom, spent weeks teaching us the cha-cha slide. You know that song that literally has the dance instructions in the song? Okay kids, when the song says one hop this time you do one hop, proceeds to demonstrating hoping once fucking shit Sherlock. I had no idea I was in advanced gym. Volleyball and soccer were played with balloons. I honestly don't know how you're supposed to hit a balloon so it actually travels a significant distance. Tag was banned at recess, and so was running. We were not allowed to use any stairs in the building. We practiced using the ramps. No, really. We would be directed to go down, and then up the ramp and repeat. I could keep going, but I think you get the picture. Football, soccer, was banned because it was played too much in favor of other sports. Instead, cricket was heavily encouraged. After 2 weeks, the rule was repealed though, because too many kids were getting hit in the head with cricket bats. We couldn't wear hats. The only exception was these overpriced hideous bandanas they sold at the student store. I wore a hat to school in protest and printed out a copy of some California law I found about school uniforms having to be provided if the student couldn't pay for them. Showed it to the office lady as I walked in, was sent to administration. Showed administration my papers. Principal bought me a school hat to shut me up. My elementary school tried to prohibit kids from going to their friends' houses after school. I don't remember it lasting very long, so parents must have banded together and put the kibosh on that. The original rule was that both parents had to write notes for the teacher about any playdates. This wasn't about kids making random plans during the day without their parents being aware or approving. This definitely wasn't allowed. Like I said, I don't remember it lasting long because it was a really stupid rule. For a time, Pokemon and Magic, the Gathering cards were completely banned at my school. They couldn't be had on school grounds at any time at all, including recess. They were considered to be such a distraction that being caught with them would result in a day or more of in-school suspension for the first offense. This eventually resulted in a small group of elementary schoolers peddling the more valuable cards black market style and turning a huge profit doing it. People would set up buys just like a real drug deal. Meet me in the back parking lot during lunch. Bring money and make sure nobody follows you. If anything, it was a better lesson in economics than any of the classes we took later in school. If people want something badly enough, there will always be a buyer and a seller who will do business. In my old Lutheran elementary school, boys weren't allowed to have hair longer than 3 inches. I had long hair, still do, and one of our school advisors, kinda like a vice principal, told me that I needed to cut it and that he'd call my mom to make sure it's done. I told him Jesus had long hair, why can't I? I was promptly suspended. They banged high fives at my school. High fives. Apparently some douche pretended to offer a girl a high five and then hit or grabbed her tit instead. So since they couldn't ban boobs, wouldn't they have loved to do that? They just banned high fives instead. They also banned plain white t-shirts for guys. Not sure what their technical excuse was, but word in the hallways was that it looked too ghetto or something. A group of like 30 or 40 boys wore one the next week in protest. I can't remember what happened after that. Also no water bottles. I understand that bringing alcohol to school is a problem, but banning water bottles is just not the solution to that problem. Catholic all-girls school, uniforms and the whole shebang. Part of our uniforms were rather short skirts, meant to fall above the knee. Senior free dress comes around, and we can't fucking wear maxi dresses. Literally for our entire high school career we wear skirts so short our asses hang out, which was rarely considered a breach of code. Yet when we're about to graduate, we can't wear dresses that reach our ankles. Instead, we are allowed yoga pants, which if you're attempting for enforced modesty do not work at all. At guys' school across the street, there were boys literally standing on benches rating girls' asses. I wouldn't doubt if they didn't get in trouble, though the administrations were generally pretty good about harassment. It was just so backwards. I went to an all-guys school where you couldn't change in the hallways. I guess it made sense cause of sexual harassment laws with the women teachers, but whenever no teachers were around guys would start whipping their clothes off. It was like some game of cat and mouse and guys were always getting detentions for being caught whipping their pants off between classes. It sounds super gay, but the school was also really homophobic due to the complexes that come with an all-guys school. For the first 15 minutes and last 15 minutes of each class they would lock the bathrooms and you couldn't use them. There really was no legitimate reason for doing this. The school claimed it was to make sure students weren't skipping class, which makes no sense. There was always a teacher outside the bathroom, and you had to sign in and out to even use them, plus show the on-duty teacher your pass. It seemed stupid at the time, but looking back on it, it was almost like prison, minus the whole shanking and rape thing. At my middle school, we got a new principal. He was literally a power-tripping fool who saw this as his one chance at success, at the expense of the other students. To add to this foul mixture, a renovation was occurring at another middle school, while another middle school was being built. We received the students from the other school. In a middle school, where 800 students went, there were now 1400. With 4 school officers and at times, a few private security guys standing around. The place was kind of like a low security prison. We were made to carry our IDs at all times. Failure to present to the cafeteria with an ID meant you were promptly given a referral and allowed to get your lunch and sit on a hill near the school. The crammed conditions caused a lot of tension, fights, and such. Middle school was weird. Also, they banged Jenkum. We had to look that one up just to see what it was. This one is pretty widespread I think, but no hats. WTF. Why can't kids wear hats? At my university we have to take them off or turn them backwards during exams, so you can't put answers on the bill, but that makes sense. Does anybody have a logical explanation for this? Once I got in trouble for taking off my jacket. It was cold out, but I was playing basketball. My mom gave me a note to keep with me with her phone number on it saying something like my daughter has a brain in her head and can figure out if she's overheated. Call me if you disagree. I never got to use it though. Edit. Another story. As if this'll get read, but whatever. There was an attendant at lunch that would direct us to where we had to sit, filling in any gaps at the tables. The tables had long benches and we were constantly reminded to scoot together until our trays touched. If you got there last you could end up filling up a small gap at a table and having to scoot down every 10 seconds and not really getting a chance to eat. We weren't allowed to go on the ice at all. Once I slipped and fell while just walking around and got in trouble. I also got in trouble for sitting on the ground and bouncing pebbles on the pavement. They went like a foot and I got in trouble for throwing rocks. Also a handicapped girl was trying to get a worm a friend had. I gave her a piece of bark as a substitute and got in trouble for tricking the handicapped girl. I literally had no idea I was in first grade. That school gave the duties playground attendants a lot of power and they fucking loved it. We weren't allowed in the snow unless we had a thick jacket, a hat, snow boots, snow pants and gloves. It was like a fucking checklist and I could never go in the snow because we were poor and my mom wanted to buy me food instead of the fucking snow pants. Fucking snow pants. Bullshit.